The Atlantic yesterday, here again, commenting on just how much the British monarchy has changed. How much it's changed. The Atlantic says the royal family's resistance to Catholics, commoners, and divorcees, as Vanity Fair puts it, endured for several more decades. I'm picking it up in the middle of a thought here. During the 1950s, Princess Margaret, the Queen's sister, was forbidden from marrying Captain Peter Townsend, who had previously been married and had 2 children. Prince Andrew, the Queen's son, dated an American actress named Koo Stark in the 1980s. But the media interest in their relationship and the Queen's reported disapproval of Stark's role in a racy film led to his marrying Sarah Ferguson instead. I mean, this was in the 1980s, and the Queen disapproved. Just because this woman had been in a racy film. How much has the British monarchy changed for the worse, morally, over the past 10, 20, 30 years? It says, and even for prospective partners who fit the bill, the requirements of the monarchy often overrode personal desire. Prince Charles's current wife, Camilla, Duchess of Cornwall, was deemed an unsuitable choice for the future king when they first fell in love in the 1970s. She was unsuitable. Of course, we know the rest of the story. He eventually married Princess Diana, and that was a disaster. It says Markle, though, comes from a different generation and is joining an institution that was battered by scandal and tragedy toward the end of the 20th century. I mean, yes, in those years, those last years of the 20th century, I mean, the wheels really started coming off the bus. The curses. Hence the distinct lack of grumbling about Markle's biography and the Queen's willingness. Listen to this. The Queen's willingness, and compare this to just the 1980s, that example with Prince Andrew and the American actress. It's not suitable. You shouldn't marry her, and he couldn't. He didn't. Hence the distinct lack of grumbling about Markle's biography and the Queen's willingness not just to accept her, but to embrace her into the family. She's being embraced now. This is 2017. The fact that she's divorced, the fact that she's in racy films, the fact that she's a left-wing activist, all of that's great. That's great today. It says the Queen is well aware that the royal family has to be seen as in touch with the priorities and the desires of modern Britons. In an interview to commemorate his grandmother's 60th anniversary as monarch, Prince Harry praised her ability to adapt. And it quotes Prince Harry as saying this, "She's managed to get the family to move with the times." I think that's incredibly important, the prince said. You can't get stuck in a sort of an old age situation when everything around you is changing. I mean, you can't live in the past. You've got to keep moving forward. You've got to keep progressing. Well, so the British royal family officially enters the 21st century. It's no longer stuck in the past. It's no longer stuck in that promise made in 1953. That promise to uphold the laws of God. Now the family is busy doing what seems right in its own eyes. We went through that in class this morning. Deuteronomy 12 and verse 8. Moses said to the Israelites anciently, "You shall not do after all the things that we do here this day, every man whatsoever is right in his own eyes." Don't do that, Israel. Don't make that mistake. Don't make the same mistake as the nations around you. Don't do what seems to be right in your own eyes. The proverb says there's a way which seems right unto a man, but the end thereof are the ways of death. God repeats it in Proverbs 16. That's Proverbs 14:12. But then in chapter 16, he says the same thing. There's a way that seems right to a man, but watch out. The end thereof are the ways of death.